The city of Lagos, once agog, has all roots.
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CORETV News.
Welcome to CORETV,
a 24-hour news station.
Good afternoon and welcome to CORETV News. This is Core Digest, and today we'll be looking at the issue of the resumption of schools. Schools are supposed to resume tomorrow as directed by the federal government all over the country, but there has been a lot of reactions with that. Some state governments have backed down on the September 22 date, and some other are still keeping tab on the resumption date of September 22. A lot of reactions coming from different sectors, from different professionals, and from different bodies and organizations in Nigeria as a result of that. We remember the school's resumption was moved to October 13 and then back to September 22 as a result of the outbreak of Ebola in Nigeria. But some are saying they are okay with the date, and others are still saying no, there are a lot of risks associated with the date for resumption of schools. And today we will be looking at back to school. Is September 22 realistic? That is what we'll be looking at today. And I have in the studio Comrade Micheal Ajayi. He is from the Center for Democracy and Socio-Economic Right. Welcome to Core Digest.
Thank you.
Now, before we go into discussions, we're going to take a look at what the Minister for Health, Onyebuchi says about the absence of Ebola in Nigeria, and then we'll pick up the discussions thereafter.
Nigeria has for 1 week now had no single case of Ebola virus disease. So presently, as we speak, there is nobody suffering from Ebola virus disease in Nigeria, and it has been so for the last 1 week. Within the week, however, there was a suspected case, a student from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, but we've concluded all investigations. She was Ebola negative. She's never had any Ebola virus disease. So Ile-Ife, there's no problem there. There's no incident of Ebola virus disease, and nobody is being placed under surveillance in Osun State. So Nigeria has monitored 517 persons, no problems after 21 days. This total number that we've removed from our surveillance. Of these 517 contacts, 347 were under surveillance in Lagos State, while 164 were in Rivers State and 6 in Enugu. As you already know, there's no problem in Enugu State at all. Nobody there is under any kind of surveillance for Ebola virus disease.
Now, you've heard the Minister for Health, Onyebuchi. He stands on the issue of the Ebola virus disease in Nigeria as it stands now. Now, what is your take on the September 22 resumption date? Let me ask you this directly. Is it realistic?
Well, before going to whether the date is realistic or not, I want to start by commending Lagos State government for the swift reaction and the steps taken to curb even the spread of the virus and the disease. You see, sometimes I imagine if Mr. Sawyer, the merchant of death that came to Nigeria with the disease, had gone to other states that does not have the capacity and the kind of facilities and maybe a kind of a proactive government like Lagos has, I wonder what will have happened. And in fact, if Mr. Sawyer had gone to Abuja, it should have been a different situation today. So we must commend Lagos State government And Mr. Fashola...
Are you positing that other states wouldn't have taken that this kind of
it is very clear. No, on a more serious note. No, on a more serious note. You know, if you see the way they reacted to it, even the campaign, sensitization campaign, and you know, and everybody was, and thank God maybe because they have resources, they didn't wait for the federal government intervention or whatever before they moved in heavily, and were able to curtail the situation somehow, and they were able to limit the spread. And in fact, and that is why some of us will continue to agitate for greater autonomy for the states, to have greater control over resources around them, so that in times of emergency like this, they have money. In fact, well, if it were to be some state that haven't paid their workers' salary, where would they have money to now begin to, make such intervention? That's what we are saying here. It's because Lagos has money. And even the River State too, the way they reacted to it. The other day, the governor was saying that the federal administration have not given them anything. So you can imagine, if the guy had gone to a state, a poor state, where there's no facilities like this, then you can begin to wonder, well, we'll be talking about today. The difference between Nigeria, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, and Sierra Leone is in terms of capacity and resources to face the affected people. So that one is very clear, and we won't stop, to continue to agitate for greater autonomy for regions, for states, so that we will now have to go and be waiting for one almighty federal government that not doing much concerning the volume of resources at its disposal. So we commend them, Mr. Fashola, for that. Then beyond that, he's been trying to make us believe that all is well by hosting even the survivors, what we call the survivors of the Ebola disease. He hosted them, the thing. Then I think the idea is to create, a kind of impression
to water down the
stigmatization, and even to make people believe that the thing is over. And not only that, he went to the hospital. Is it first consult or something, where the first the incident was treated, and where he died, and they began to spread the disease. He was there, to tell the world that, okay, even the hospital is safe and whatever. But of course, he's done his own bit. But the issue, between me, you and I, that, the level of trust between the government and the governed is world apart. That today, people find it difficult believing their governments. And it's not just a thing that has to do with Ebola alone, but, over the years, the government will promise heaven and earth, and the final analysis, you won't get to see anything.
Okay, is it the lack of trust that has generated this acrimony with the resumption?
See, let me tell you, are you not a Nigerian? If government tells you that so thing happened, that one person died in an incident, for instance, you say, oh, don't mind them. They are more than that. If they say, okay, tomorrow, after they promise electricity, in fact, even before they said by year 2000, you have free education, everything, Nigeria will be rosy and whatever. Year 2014 years passed. And in fact, we are going from bad to worse. So there is no confidence. There is a kind of that trust between governments and the people. Because there's a kind of detached. The people are far away from their government. So if they tell you that everything is okay, they'll say, these people, now tomorrow, if it happens to their family, they will take them abroad to go and treat. If you allow your children to go to school, and somebody give her or him a biscuit, and he will now be infected, where will you get money to treat? That's the kind of conversation that you listen to, among parents and especially our mothers.
Okay.
So they are afraid that, hey, these people, don't trust them. That is one. Then even the level of corruption in Nigeria, you see, is another thing, where you don't have facilities readily available around you. Like all the money being laundered, you know, every day. If they are deploy it to develop our own capacity and infrastructure and facilities here, maybe people will now have trust in their government.
Okay, let's take it back a little bit and then look at dwelling on this issue of
so
trust. Why the people are being a little bit skeptical about the situation. Now, what exactly should have been done to win the trust of the people with regards to this Ebola, for them to trust that the government is actually truthfully reflective of the situation on ground, that the case has been contained and dealt with appropriately?
The case is very simple. We've made to believe that Ebola virus, you know, developed in 21 days. And that's why some people are saying, okay, if we are to resume so dates, then give some days. If there is no news again. The thing is just very simple. It's not just on Ebola alone.
No, but the minister has said we've had 1 week without any record.
Yes, any record now. But of course, no new case. And we're happy for that. And we are believing them. Some of us are conscious and we believe them that this particular instance, so I mean on Ebola, that you know, they are being truthful. But you know, they need to, you see, to some people, they believe that yes, they want to insist on the 22 so that they won't begin to further batter Nigerians' bad image, you know, particularly in the international community, where, of course, that Nigeria will now join the Ebola-invested country, you know, the image. But to some people, that is just politics. And that, well, we believe that, of course, Lagos State has done a great job here. And the thing is being effectively curtailed. But mind you, because of the economic situation in the country, brought about by even our government that we are talking about now, that most parents, if you ask me, if you ask them, if you allow them to wait in November, they are happy. Because to even gather the money to pay is another issue. Why the private schools want the schools to resume today, so that they continue to make money. So these are issues that, then fear again. In terms of the profession, I mean the teachers.
Yeah.
I mean the teachers. I learned Lagos State, you know, was it not on Friday, tried to carry out some training and give teachers some facilities, some equipment or something. But I tell you that I know some schools got the information even around 2 o'clock, when the ordinary school ought to have closed. So, you know, if by Friday they are yet to get what is needed, then you will tell them to resume on Monday. You know, things like this. You know,
okay, we'll get into all this now and then begin to put it vis-a-vis the statements that came from the Nigeria Union of Teachers and reasons why they are insisting that schools should not resume on the 22nd. But before then, let's take a video and look at the report on about what the people are saying about the resumption date of 22nd, and then we'll get back to this discussion.
All right.
With just few days to the controversial September 22nd resumption date, the coast appears not clear as arguments from all sides of the bargain continue. Lagos State Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Adeshegun Rahim, says the schools will only commence the new academic session when the safety of teachers and pupils are guaranteed.
A government official called me just yesterday that they will be distributing some gadgets today. If we move around, we discover that those gadgets are in post and in their right quantity, the school will open.
A principal of a Lagos-based private school, Adekunle Agbelu, stressed the importance of putting in place adequate measures to properly care for the pupils, the teachers and owners of the schools.
I think the most important thing is that let's do the right thing. Let the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, let them go around schools, see how prepared they are for this resumption, how prepared they are for our children that are coming to school to be well protected, not staying at home. Because I tell you, if these students will stay at home, nothing will be done. But knowing the fact that they are in school, then people will do everything to make sure that these children are safe.
For his part, the treasurer of NUT, Kolawole Amao, told the line of his chairman, but added that authorities should ignore the calls for hasty resumption without first putting safety measures in place.
There is also a moral demand on us to protect the pupils and students we teach. Because in the event of there is an outbreak among the rank and file of the pupils and students, definitely teachers cannot begin to celebrate. It will spread.
As controversy persists over the issue, it is not clear if the September 22nd resumption date would be adhered to by all. Omotayo Alo, CORETV News, Lagos.
Now, that was one of our reporters there with the report on the resumption, and then you can see the views of the people right there. These protective equipment
gadgets, yeah,
that the Nigeria Union of Teachers is insisting should be in place before schools resume. Now, do you think that is the only thing that the parents and the teachers would have wanted to be able to trust the government and say, okay, now we can let our children go to school?
Well, certainly not.
Because we talked about trust earlier. You said trust. Now,
yes.
Will this make the people to trust the government?
So that is what I'm saying, that certainly it's not just the only thing. Give teachers gadgets. See, a lot is wrong with our country. Well, you know, I mean, a few days ago, NDLE, is it NAVDAC now? Yeah. Some people were arrested.
Fake test kits.
Fake test kits. So that is already in town. So this gadget, whatever, I'll save at the gadgets. So, but the issue is this:
the government can't give you a fake one.
I know certainly we believe that, but certainly, I would just advise government, to redouble their efforts in terms of educating, the masses and the parents, and now begin to show serious commitment and to build confidence, and to make parents believe that all is actually well, with the situation. And I think if they can bring out more of the survivors, I think at least they can see those that survive, and they can know that, okay, in case anything happens. And meanwhile, but the most important thing is we wouldn't wait till something happens before we begin to react to them. So this is a good lesson to Nigerian government to know that it is very important, to plan ahead, improve on our medical facilities across the country. Allow, and that is one. Then two, even the teachers themselves, they must be educated, educated on the virus itself, so that if they are well educated, they can now transfer the knowledge to even the pupils and the parents, because they are like intermediary between the world and the parent. Yeah. So once the teachers are well educated and well informed about the matter, and they are convinced that they can handle the situation. But I believe that Ebola virus is gone and gone forever in Nigeria, and we don't pray to counter it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Don't these students stand the same risks, whether in school or at home, with the way they carry out their activities, their play, and their livelihood? Don't they stand the same kind of risk?
It's the same thing. All of us.
So why wouldn't we let them go to school if they stand the same risk if they're at home or in school?
Well, you know, given this, the controversy surrounding having a week or two, and you know, Nigeria, we are holiday lovers. October 1st will be holiday. October 4th or something, that will be Salah. Though weekend, but I trust our government, 2 extra days will be added to the weekend. So the things that are saying that after Salah, I think that they're even more reasonable. Because you have a word in boarding school now, you have to take the child to school on 22. Then a week later, you go and pick the child, stay at home for almost a week again, you know. So I think it will only be reasonable and advisable to douse the tension. I think it's only Lagos State that is insisting on some states. The Jigawa, Oyo, Ogun, you know, all of them have, even Niger State, all of them have decided to, even River State.
And these are just a few states out of the 36 that we have.
That is,
but there is this point of argument from so many in the society that the students have already lost so many days. So even if it is 5 days in school, it's able to redeem some of the lost hours that they've got. So
are they not supposed to be on holidays?
The holidays are over.
No, the holidays are not. It's not yet over.
The long vacation.
Yes, now they're supposed to resume Monday. That's 22. Mm-hmm. So telling them they've lost some ground, they've lost. Where are these people? When Masu was on strike, where are they? Where are these people now talking when poly lecturers were on strike for months? So which ground? We are saying that we are talking about life and death now, okay? And we are talking about availability of facility and even competencies to handle the situation. So if they are saying that, okay, let us look at this thing for a week or two, I think it's more reasonable. It is only when you are alive that you can go to school. It is only when you are alive that you can become anything. So it's not while in grave. So if to douse the tension and you know, convince everybody, a week will not be too much.
Okay, let me take you on this. Some have argued that most of the public schools, especially, have no running water on the premises of those schools, and the NUT is insisting that this is one of the basic things that is needed to prevent the contraction of this Ebola virus. And if that should be followed, now how long do you think the students are going to stay at home to be able to provide running water in these schools?
To me, for us to achieve that, given the pace our government does things, we'll wait for another 5 years. Because, like Lagos now, where you have most population in Nigeria, how many homes have pipe-borne water, let alone schools? Then even the private schools that, not only public school, even the private schools, how many of them? Some of them buy water, some of them maybe rely on borehole or something, you know. So, well, I think I don't think that one is feasible in the next 1 month.
Okay, let me, the principal of a private school that we saw in that report says the students should be allowed to go to school, and that is when there will be seriousness in making sure they are safe.
Don't
if they are at home. No, what's your take on that? Do you take on same position with him?
No, I differ.
Why?
The private school people, the principals, they're only interested in money and not the interest of the parent or the puppy. Their interest, they are... I'm coming.
If they lose the students, they won't get the money.
Yeah, they won't get the money.
Why should they just be interested in the money?
You see, it's for them to do the needful and not say, okay, bring all of them. When you bring all of them and there is problem, we'll solve the problem. So let them, again, like as suggested by even the NUT, let them do, even the private school, let them do what is needful. I believe that it will be easier to control any occurrence, even in the public school than some of these private schools.
How? Because the private schools are said to be well equipped and
Well,
more organized.
well, what? Well, what?
Equipped and organized.
How many of them? How many of them have you visited recently? If you're talking about the big ones that has money, but a whole lot of other mushroom private schools all over the places that does not even have anything. So we want to rely on what a private school principal will tell you. No, I don't buy that. But again, I sincerely believe that our government can handle the situation. And according to Mr. Fashola, all is well. And we appeal to parents to have confidence on this issue. On this issue, I'm not talking about other issues, because it seems sometimes you wonder if we have government in this country and the leadership are only interested in themselves and their family and the volume of money they're able to make while in offices. So I want to appeal that on this Ebola issue, that the people should find a way of trusting the government.
Okay, now what is the effectiveness and possibility of having some of these test kits, like the non-contact thermometer and some of those equipment? What is the possibility of having each school getting it before it resumes?
Before Monday? Before 22nd? I
Well,
don't know. I don't know. If, no, we are Nigerians. We are Nigerians, and it's a pity. If
no, when you keep saying we are Nigerians,
we are in Nigeria. No, I would say we are in Nigeria.
No, why should we say we are in Nigeria?
We are in Nigeria where we have governments without responsibility. I do understand. That is the issue here. If people are seriously concerned about the lives of... sometimes you drive along the street, you see citizens knocked down, and another 2 days you still go back and see the same, the cops there. It means that nobody is doing anything, nobody is concerned about anybody. We find a situation where we don't even know our population, when we don't have basic statistics about the people they govern. So that is why we are saying we are in Nigeria. In other climes, it doesn't take much this thing to ship in, some of these things. But we sincerely believe that we sincerely believe that it's not difficult. It's not difficult. But I just told you now that even in Lagos State, where principals and staff and officers were asked to go to Blue Roof on Friday, that information got there late. So that's part of the problem we are talking about.
Was that an afterthought? Was that
no? It was
that
not
meeting, that training, and that awareness? Was it an afterthought, or it is planned?
No, it was. That even this Ebola issue was an emergency situation.
No, but it was emergency when it first came.
Yes.
But for the period of time we've been able to curtail its spread. Yeah. It shouldn't be an emergency when anything is going to put together to be able to stop the spread of Ebola. It shouldn't be an emergency.
It shouldn't.
Especially when you're bringing in teachers that has to do with school. So that's why I'm asking, was it an afterthought that some schools didn't even get the information?
No, it could be maybe technology.
Or people were sitting on a coffee table and just decided to have a training for teachers.
No. I think that is very good that even NUT insisted on some of these demands, It's very essential. And, I commend them for that. And that they should not wait, because, normally NUT will complain about salaries and allowances and leave bonuses. But this time they are talking seriously about the health and the welfare of the pupils they are taking care of. So, I sincerely believe that it shouldn't be, like you said, rightly said, it shouldn't be difficult, to distribute, some of these gadgets and equipment. But let's face it, there will be some, since we are not used to this kind of a thing, and there will be some problems. And then giving the attitude of our people to issues like this too. If not that the way Mr. Fashola handled the situation will have been a different story altogether today. So I believe that, well, let them, a week, like I would say, a week is not too much.
You are against the 22 September 22 resumption day.
Yes, I'm not too comfortable with it. But you know, we have this attitude in Nigeria that when government speaks, it cannot be reversed.
Now, what are your own personal reasons for not being comfortable with September 22?
I've said it. The teachers are talking about equipment and gadgets. Have they gotten it? Are we sure they've gotten it? Then, well, clean environment is key to this thing.
To stopping the spread of it.
To stopping it. What is the state of our school environment? Then, both private and public school, what has the government done, you know, in that regard, and even the private schools too. Then, talking about water now, the simplest way is to wash hands frequently and whatever. That one is very essential too. Even if you won't have pipe-borne water, I think you can have emergency provision.
Now, all these things you've enumerated, now you are advocating for 1 more week.
Anyhow, certainly.
Or 2 more weeks. What are you advocating
yes,
for?
certainly, maybe a week.
You're advising for an additional week.
Yes.
Now, will an additional week make it comfortable to have these things put in place?
No, when government, well, I wouldn't know, but if government, you know, is very serious about, you know, this issue, well, it's not too difficult. It's not too difficult to do. You do the needful, then you now graduate, you know, it to when you have perfect environment.
Now, if this is not difficult to do, then why is it a bond of contention?
It will be. Because
since it's not difficult to do, why
money is involved. Money is involved. That in fact in Lagos, it had to redirect their budget, you know, had to redirect their budget to suit the current situation. How many states have done that? Not even the federal government. So we know that.
But we've seen the Federal Ministry of Health on its toes everywhere in the country with regards to this curbing Ebola. We've seen the federal government too being proactive and active on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, to be able to ensure that it is contained. Now, why would, if the resources are made available to contain it and then to create awareness, and why would it be difficult to provide test kits and protective gears for schools?
You ask Mr. Minister, Honorable Minister. The question will be better answered by the Honorable Minister. I'm coming now. I'm coming now. You said they've been very active. What is the volume of support or intervention that federal government has made to states, to the 36 states? That's the way you look at it. You don't just say Lagos. And here we are in a country where people, we are here now, somebody can go to Abeokuta and return to Lagos the same day. Somebody can go to Osogbo and return the same day. Some will go to Jibo, will go to Aba to go and buy market and return the next morning and whatever. So you can't say, okay, it is only Lagos and Port Harcourt affair. I think you understand. What is the level of intervention? The federal government, you know, have made so far to the 36 states and even Abuja. That's the way we look at it. So that's why I said money is involved here. And if it is not well, which is not well planned, and I know that some people will have turned this Ebola issue to ATM, where they will make billions of naira. And it's not about the safety of citizenry, but about the safety of their bank account or whatever. So those are the issues. It's not just about, it's not a straightforward thing. It's not a straightforward thing. Of course, it shouldn't be difficult. What is he doing? Traveling around, Yes, by now, I believe that the Federal Ministry of Health ought to have come out with a straight, clear-cut programs, not for only Ebola. There are other infectious diseases that should be prevented. So, and this one should have been an opportunity, a wake-up call, to now come up with a policy rather than just educating the states and addressing the press. So that's the...
Okay. The states governments, I think, were asked to set up these rapid response committees
yes,
against Ebola.
Yeah.
Now, will the state governments have to wait on the federal government before they take any action?
That is why, in the beginning, I told you, while commending, the effort of Lagos State to curb the Ebola, that we should continue to agitate for more autonomy, to the states, and with zones or regions or whatever. That the states, in a situation where everybody will go to Abuja every month to go and take dole and return to their states, and then you now find out that some states can hardly survive on the federal allocation.
Yeah, but the means is there to generate revenue, to be proactive, to think outside the box and see how to generate revenue.
Okay, fine. Let me give you a classical.
So
let me give you a classical example. VAT, value added tax. It's a consumption tax. Abi? Then that one now, I will buy sweets, biscuits, even beer in Lagos. Then you now pull everything together, take it to Abuja to go and share. If such consumption taxes are allowed to remain in the states where the goods and services were actually consumed, a state like Lagos will be more buoyant. Abuja will be more buoyant. Some of the states will be buoyant. That's just one aspect of it. There are a whole lot of other things that the states or that the federal government shouldn't be. The Lagos port is there, for instance. Why can't, I'm just giving this as examples. Even going to even the resources. In the First Republic, it was 50% to wherever revenue is generated. Yes, 50% to the regions, 15% to the center. But today, center take 52%. So that is why we need to even look at the kind of structure we are running, where a local government cannot survive on its own without going to states. I don't understand. The local government cannot do basic things for the people around, except waiting on the state to come and, or go to state to jack and whatever. And state government cannot do anything other than pay salaries and then wait for the next allocation, pay salaries, then some of them will share the remaining, and then, so is that a state? Is that how the state should run? The only time we have development was when the region had control over their resources. So that is the issue. It's not just honorable minister saying that, okay, all is well, okay, set up committee, then we now waiting for money to come, even for committee meeting, and at the end of the day, report will be written and nothing will be done about it. So it is when we have responsible states that we can really, tackle some of these problems without waiting on it is only when the problem is too big that federal intervention can come. But Nigeria, we do everything in reverse. We copy America, and we'll copy them one aspect. Just look at what will make us exploit our fellow citizens. They will stop at that. So the issue is not just Ebola. We must now begin to look at the entire system, an entire structure that will run to, this structure we're running for who? Is it beneficial to the citizenry, or is it beneficiary to the people in government or the leadership? Okay. So that's the situation we find ourselves here.
All right, now looking generally at the scenario and then the containment of the spread of the Ebola virus, and let's leave the controversy about resumption of schools aside.
Yes.
Now, do we see our children whom these arguments are about safe
Even the children.
Yeah, do we see them safe for tomorrow?
For tomorrow.
Yeah, for their health being safeguarded as a result of contracting Ebola.
Yeah, like I said, I live in Mushin, for instance.
Now, looking at every aspect, your area, the borders, and everything that has been done.
The border, no, I live in Mushin, for instance. If you ask me, I believe that if any kids resume tomorrow, nothing will happen. I think I understand that me as a person now. Then, but if you want to now to talk about border, which border? How many borders do we have in Nigeria that is as porous as mosquito net? You know? So, I don't want, because
no, because we've been told even during the heat of the campaign of trying to curb Ebola, that professionals have been sent to the borders to check to check people and to test them while coming into the country.
How many borders? How many borders? I'm talking about the question now. There are official borders, there are other borders, people. Even in the north, the cattle area will go this way, return the next day, go to Ogun State, where, in fact, the town will share border. This side is Nigeria, the other side is Benin Republic. So which border now are you at the professionals? Is it just Seme and Muritala Mohammed Airport and Aminu Kano International Ports and maybe Seaports? How many of these borders are we policing? That's the question. And Nigeria will say, don't take that place. So they don't stay there. Go and take this. Don't worry. Give me money. We'll just on bike. We'll cross through bike and whatever. So that's what we are saying. That how many borders are we policing? Official borders, fine. The unofficial. So the issue is that I don't want to bring in the issue of God here. But a typical Nigeria will just say, okay, we'll pray to God. But I know this is not about God now.
Yeah, but
it's about
we have
man.
to do our part.
It's about man.
To protect the people.
Yeah, to protect ourselves. Because God has given us the brain, to reason and to take action. So, well, to the puppies are not the issue here. We're talking about the parents.
But everyone is about the children.
It's about the children. Yes, students.
They have to be safe. They have to be kept
safe. They don't have a say here.
They have to protect them.
They don't have a say here. They don't have a say here.
So maybe that's why NUT and the parents and others are probably
yes. Nobody want to lose a child anyway, and that is the bottom line.
And I think too, we should get to a position where the government will take a stance of not agreeing or allowing by any means to lose a citizen casually, and if things can be done to prevent it. But the government has assured us that on this case, all students are safe and they could go back to learning so that we can have a better tomorrow.
We've had that, but I told you that nobody will believe them. Most parents will not believe them.
Now, because this issue of belief will be a topic for another day.
Yes.
So probably we'll have to talk about
why there is the trust between the government and the governed, and the citizens and the leadership.
So why will people always say no, we don't agree when the government makes a statement?
Because there's a leadership deficit in Nigeria. There's leadership deficit. Nobody is living by example. If Mr. President is sick today, he will be flown abroad. If we both attend the same hospital, their children are not in this school, so I think you understand. How many governors will say, okay, my own ward will be resuming with them to Monday?
No, but I think the Ebola case is different. Whether their children are in those schools or not, they also stand a risk.
They stand a risk, but the issue is that their children certainly are not part of the children that will resume or not resume. I think you understand. If their own children are involved, okay, no problem. I say, okay, has a bit, their own walls are there too, but find a situation where it's just we and them. They build the schools are for us, while they take their own children elsewhere. The hospitals are for us, where they go elsewhere. So
now, these are very grave. These are very grave statements, and I think we won't have the time to decipher all these statements and then to analyze them and look at them. But it's a topic for another day. I would want to call off the program at this point because our time is up. We have to get ready for the next program that is coming up. I want to thank you so much, Micheal Ajayi, for coming on Core Digest. It's been very interesting talking with you this afternoon on Back to School, September 22, if the date is realistic or not. Thank you so much for giving us your knowledge and your insight into this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
It's been Core Digest, and we've been talking with Micheal Ajayi. He is on the Center for Democracy and Socio-Economic Rights. We've discussed Back to School is September 22 realistic. Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow will be another interesting day on Core Digest. I hope you hook up with us then and be part of the program. Next is News on the Hour. Thank you for joining us and do have a good day.
The deadly Ebola virus is again spreading in West Africa. The virus has fatality rates of up to 90%, meaning many who contract the disease die. A subcontinent have witnessed over 900 deaths. Please help prevent the spread of Ebola by observing the following precautions. This is a social responsibility awareness campaign of CORETV News.